Nice to have you join us on the news at 5. I'm Dominic Iwiwo with the stories and reports we're tracking at the moment. We start off with some news from the Joint National Assembly, where President Bola Tinubu has presented a 558.18 trillion naira 2026 budget to a joint session of the National Assembly in Abuja. The budget outlines the administration's fiscal priorities with emphasis on defense and security infrastructure, development and education, among others. He added that there will be stricter discipline in budget execution and implementation with timelines. The Senate has confirmed Orishemeyiwa Enyison and Seidu Mohammed as chief executives of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NMDPRA). Their appointments were approved at plenary today after lawmakers adopted the report of the Joint Petroleum Committees, which screened both nominees. President Bola Tinubu submitted their names on October 17 to fill vacancies created by the resignations of former CEOs Farouk Ahmed and Benga Komalafe. Mr. Ahmed's exit followed corruption allegations by businessman Aliko Dangote, now under ICP investigation. The NUPRC and NMDPRA were created under the Petroleum Industry Act to regulate Nigeria's upstream, midstream and downstream oil and gas sectors. Now, the Supreme Court has affirmed that the acting national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Sadiq Abubakar, and National Secretary Olu Agunloye hold constitutional authority to make binding decisions on behalf of the party. In a unanimous decision on Friday, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court struck out INEC's appeal for lack of further awarded a 2 million naira cost against the council to INEC in the matter. In the judgment read by Justice Jamilu Tukur, the Apex Court restated that it doesn't resolve controversies that affect the rights and obligations of political parties. It added that the elections have held what is left is merely academic. The Apex Court therefore deems INEC's case incompetent. President Bola Tinubu has urged governors and members of the All Progressives Congress, as well as other governors in the country, to support the proposal for the establishment of state police. He made the call at the APC National Caucus meeting held in Abuja, during which he also urged the governors to ensure the judgment of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy is given backing. During the meeting, the ruling party announced the defection of Governor Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State and reported membership growth. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
It's the 14th All Progressives Congress National Caucus meeting held at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. President Bola Tinubu, the Vice President Kashim Shettima, the leadership of the National Assembly, governors under the party, including those who recently defected from the opposition parties, past and present national leadership of the party, former governors, among others, are in attendance. The immediate past national chairman of the party, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, is however visibly absent. The APC national chairman sets the tone for the meeting.
Recent political development underscored APC's pan-Nigerian character, including significant defections that have further expanded our influence, particularly in recent several high-profile individuals and groups. So both the old and new members should go to the portal and register all their members. We expect that this drive should be between now and January ending, 30th of January. All members must have registered and prepared for our congresses that will come ahead.
The meeting also provides a platform to appraise President Tinubu's leadership.
What we are witnessing today is not only satisfying, but has encouraged Nigerians, both those at home and in diaspora, to rise in unison to comment that we now have a better economy as a country. We have a better political space as a country. The environment has allowed the rule of law to thrive.
The need to ensure a level playground for both old members and those joining the party is emphasized.
The strength of the party lies in its ability to accommodate both experience and fresh perspectives in a manner that is just, inclusive, and forward-looking.
I'm very happy tonight that sitting there, the national chairman whispered to me that even the governor of his state in Plateau has decided to join our party, and so he's one of us.
We have the immediate vice presidential candidate of the sinking ship called PDP, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, within our fold. So we have been building relationships, and be rest assured that 2027 is there for us, waiting.
I'm confident.
President Tinubu urges effective reconciliation of members, calling for support to major reforms of his administration.
Definitely, we will pass a state police to improve security. The local government autonomy, it is and must be effective. We'll give them their money directly. That's the truth. That's compliance of the Supreme Court.
The APC currently boasts of having 28 state governors out of 36, with a majority in the two chambers of the National Assembly. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
We now take you back to the budget story, where we reported that President Bola Tinubu presented a budget of 58.18 trillion naira for 2026 to the Joint Assembly.
The 2026 federal budget is anchored on realism, prudence, and growth. The key aggregates are as follows. Expected total revenue is 34.33 trillion naira. Projected total expenditure is 58.18 trillion naira, including 15.52 trillion naira for debt servicing. Recurrent non-debt expenditure is 15.2 trillion naira. Capital expenditure will be 26.08 trillion. The budget deficit is expected to be 23.85 trillion naira, representing just 4.28% of our GDP. These numbers are not mere accounting lines. They are a statement of national priorities. We will remain firmly committed to fiscal sustainability, debt transparency, and value for money spending. The year 2026 to 2088 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper set the parameters for this budget. Our projections are based on 1, a conservative crude oil benchmark of US $64.85 per barrel. 2, crude oil production of 1.8 million barrels per day. And 3, an average exchange rate of 1.4 naira to the US dollar for the 2026 fiscal year. Key sectorial provisions include defense, security. Defense and security will take 5.41 trillion naira. Infrastructure, we follow with 3.56 trillion naira. Education, we follow with 3.52 trillion naira. Health and social services will be 2.48 trillion naira.
Now, to security matters, troops of Operation Hadinkai have foiled an early morning attempt by terrorists advancing from the Mandara Mountains to infiltrate Bita in Goza local government area of Borno State, delivering a decisive blow to the insurgents' operational plans. The encounter occurred in the early hours of December 18, 2025, after troops detected suspicious movement through advanced surveillance assets. The military adds that the troops allowed the terrorists to close in before launching a coordinated and overwhelming defensive response. Several insurgents were neutralized in the exchange, including a key commander and his cameraman, significantly weakening the group's command structure. As the surviving elements attempted to retreat, the air component of Operation Hadinkai carried out precision strikes, further degrading the fleeing terrorists and cutting off their escape routes. Ground troops later exploited the area, recovering weapons, communication devices, ammunition, motorcycles and other logistics used by the insurgents. The military says troops remain highly motivated and resolute as sustained operations continue to deny terrorists freedom of action and reinforce security across communities in the northeast. Talking about healthcare for senior citizens, 250 elderly persons in Anambra State are in a happy mood as they receive 200,000 naira each at the lighthouse in Oka. The wife of the Anambra State Governor, Noye Soludo, on behalf of Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, disbursed the funds courtesy of the Renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme in its third edition. In addition to the funds, Mrs. Noye Soludo also distributed bags of rice, wrapper and transport tokens to the senior citizens, urging them to continue to age gracefully through good nutrition and physical exercises, as the theme of the program suggests, finding joy in old age.
It's the third edition of the Renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme with the theme Finding Joy in Old Age, and the wife of Anambra State Governor, Mrs. Noye Soludo, gathers 250 elderly residents at the banquet hall of the Lighthouse in Oka, the state capital, on behalf of Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, to put smiles on their faces. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Affirmed, while acknowledging the joy of the gift of longevity, reminds the beneficiaries that the funds being given to them should also be used for their businesses. Cultural dancers entertain the senior citizens before the wife of the governor delivers the message of Nigeria's First Lady. Before the cash disbursement, Mrs. Soludo adds her support with bags of rice, wrappers, food packs and transport fare. She also reminds them to take care of their health.
This scheme is to support 250 vulnerable elderly citizens aged 65 and above in all the 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Capital Territory, and the veterans from the Defense and Police Officers Grants Association. These 9,500 selected beneficiaries beneficiaries will receive 200,000 naira each. My advice to our senior citizens is to do all that is possible to find joy in old age. Let us remember that aging gracefully is not just about longevity, but about being surrounded by love, support, and respect.
Then the cash is disbursed to the elderly. As the elderly in Anambra State dance for joy, those in other states equally rejoice, as a total of 1.9 billion naira has been approved by the governing board of the Renewed Hope Initiative for disbursement to beneficiaries nationwide.
Abia State's Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, has unveiled and signed into law the Abia State's 25-year development plan, a long-term blueprint designed to guide governance, policy direction, budgeting, and resource allocation in the state from 2025 to 2050. Speaking shortly after unveiling and signing the document themed Building Resilience, Driving Innovation, Safeguarding Our Future in Umuahia, Governor Oti said the plan secures Abia State against policy reversals by successive administrations, committing the states to a disciplined pathway of growth, resilience, and prosperity up to the year 2050. And in the world of business, businesses and households in Nigeria expect inflation to remain largely stable in the coming months. This is according to the Central Bank of Nigeria's Inflation Expectations Survey report for November 2025. The survey showed the Inflation Perception Index at 43.5 points, with high inflation perceptions falling to 52.3% in November from 56.5% in October. According to the report, respondents cited energy, transportation, and exchange rates as key inflation drivers, with other factors less significant. The most recent inflation report from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, shows that Nigeria's headline inflation moderated to 14.45% in November 2025, down from 16.05% in October. The Central Securities Clearance System PLC CSCS, or the company, today announces the appointment of Mr. Shehu Yahaya Shantali as its new Chief Executive Officer with effect from January the 1st of next year. Mr. Shantali succeeds Mr. Haruna Jallo Waziri, who will be stepping down after a successful 8-year tenure marked by strong leadership, strategic growth, and significant contributions to the development of Nigeria's capital market infrastructure. During his tenure, Mr. Jallo Waziri provided visionary and results-driven leadership that delivered sustained growth and far-reaching transformation across the organization. Mr. Jallo Waziri also led the successful execution of critical strategic initiatives, strengthened governance and operational effectiveness, and modernized the company's systems and processes, positioning the organization for long-term resilience and competitiveness. Now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has unsealed the headquarters of Eko Electric PLC after the electricity distribution company committed to a binding undertaking to comply with remedial measures over consumer rights violations. The FCCPC says Eko Electric's headquarters was earlier sealed on December 11, 2025, following the company's failure to comply with a directive of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, to unbundle a maximum demand account into 20 individual customer accounts for a consumer who had reportedly been without electricity supply for more than 2.5 years. Under the undertaking, Eko Electric pledged to resolve all consumer complaints referred to it by the FCCPC within agreed timelines. The Commission warned that any breach of the agreement would result in renewed and escalated enforcement actions in line with the provisions of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, FCCPC-A 2018. Now, the governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, has presented a 583.33 billion naira 2026 appropriation bill to the Adamawa State House of Assembly, pledging sustained investment in infrastructure, social services, and economic reforms. The budget, tagged Budget of Sustainable Growth and Renewal, allocates 209.65 billion naira, which is 35.93% to recurrent expenditure, while capital projects are projected at 379.69 billion naira, which is making up 65.07% of the total budget.
Governor Umaru Fintiri arrives at the Adamawa State House of Assembly complex for the 2026 budget presentation. As the governor takes the podium, he assures the lawmakers that priority has been given to the needs of the people and consideration has been given to areas of social welfare for the people, and they've all been captured in the government's 8-point agenda.
During the 2025 fiscal year, the state had a supplementary budget of 135,070,198,323 naira, which was approved, bringing the total budget size to 621,288,245,923 naira. Out of this, the total sum of 167,541,217,610 naira, which represents 26.97%. The total approved estimate was earmarked for recurrent services, and 453,747,028,313 naira was earmarked to service capital development program.
Moving forward, the governor highlights expectations for spending in 2026 through the budget of service worth over 486 billion naira.
The sum of 209,640,415,814 naira, which represents 35.94%, is earmarked for recurrent services, while the balance of 373,690,964,682 naira, which is 64.06% of the total projected annual budget, is earmarked for development, capital development program and services in the state.
After the highlight, the governor presents the budget to the House. And this is a smooth.
And that's where we drop the anchor on this edition of the News at 5. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Up next is The World Today.